it's a big deal for Black women, Black American women. In this context, we're speaking about Black American women, not to say that Black women across the globe are not doing the same thing,
Yeah.
but because of the trepidation in terms of like the just day-to-day trying to coexist in our societies here in the States, I think it's important for us to kind of explore and look and see the world through different lenses by being open to living outside of the US.
Hmm. Hello, friends. We're back for Black and Curious. I'm Kandron.
What up, what up? It is your girl Deja. How y'all doing?
Hello. If you've
Whoa.
never been here before, we do a cross section of pop culture and real life and commentary on all of the things. So, Deja has our topic for the day.
So if you have been following us over the last couple of weeks, maybe like a month and a half, we've been
Yeah.
talking about community. This is the new way that we're kind of doing our blocks to kind of like discuss a certain topic and the different legs of said topic. So today we're just gonna kind of wrap it up, close out that block, and kind of talk about some of our takeaways from the conversations that we had, and we invite you to drop some of your commentary down in the comments, of course, and let us know what your takeaways were. All right.
Yeah.
The
I'll let
first
you
one, and
start.
these, yeah, I'm about to say, I got you. These are in no specific order, and I did not list what conversation it was. So y'all just bear with your girl. It's been a rough week. But the first one I have, first takeaway I have is don't be afraid to pivot. And I
Mm,
think um that came from the conversation that we had with my girlfriend Lisa, where we were kind of talking about like moving away from home to a city that you've never really even frequented and like starting over
hmm.
and creating a community in a new place. What I took away from her was just like the fearlessness of that, like just
Yeah.
starting over and being confident and capable within yourself to know that you can do this.
Yeah. I also took a lot out of her conversation and definitely will be going back to revisit that because even though I'm in the same location, just how this city is and how it just people circulate, I feel like I'm always in a space of starting over.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's something I've been thinking a lot about. Friendships evolving and changing and just feeling like, I'm in a space of really starting over again. And yeah, it's something that I've come to terms with. Um, but yeah, it's difficult and it's something that, once you think you've lived in a place for a long time that you won't have to face those challenges, but there does come times when you have to start over exactly where you are, and that's okay.
Me right
So
now.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just being real. Like that's literally what I'm going through.
or even if your friends have kids, or even for the younger girlies, you leave college and you were into the workforce, or you
Mhm.
know there's all sorts of times when there's the challenge of starting over. So I think I'm going to be taking that away from that conversation as well, in working on different ways to build relationships with people, with new people,
All right.
as they come about in my life. What do you got next?
Um, expatism is life.
Hmm.
Shout out to some of our viewers who chatted with us in the comments. I
Mm-hmm.
please forgive me. I don't remember your screen name right now, but she basically encouraged me to, and she wasn't the only one. Someone else did that lives in Mexico right now too, which is so funny. Two people from Mexico. So clearly Mexico is calling me.
That girl.
But she encouraged me to go on down and make a life and then to set it up so that my parents could come. And basically she was just kind of like, once they see how well you are living, they'll be more apropos to like want to join you, even if they
Yeah,
come for like small vacations. Eventually, like they'll want to just come on down.
yeah.
So I love that.
That was cool. And I think we had a few conversations. So we had a critical comment, if you will, that talked about like oh, it's not about Europe, blah, blah, blah. And I want to be clear, like, we're not talking about moving just to one place or the other. We're just talking about exploring your options and broadening your horizons. We've had people on we had Sharita on, we had your other friend, what's her name? Regina
Oh,
on. She
yeah,
lived
she's
in
in Botswana.
Botswana. Sharita's lived all over the place.
I think
So
right
it's
now she's in
about,
Paris.
yeah. So it's all about just finding what works for you and doing that. So yeah, love
I
that.
think too, like to the point of like expatism is life. It's a big deal for Black women, Black American women. In this context, we're speaking about Black American women, not to say that Black women across the globe are not doing the same thing,
Yeah.
but because of the trepidation in terms of like the just day to day trying to coexist in our societies here in the States, I think it's important for us to kind of explore and look and see the world through different lenses by being open to living outside of the US.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I made mention to earlier, she's a social media friend on Instagram, and her name is Chris Miss on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But she picked up and left from New Jersey and is living full time in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about it like in the DMs, and she was like, "You can do it. Like, come on down. Like, I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
we could actually meet in person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like,
And I think that goes to something else that we talked about in the block that was super important is, friendship and how we talked about the expat portion of it, but it was also like people are banding together to create their own communities within their friendships
mm-hmm,
where it's not based around romantic relationships. That can always be a part of your community, but I think and I think the spotlight has been more so on like, okay, it's not all romantic relationships. I
right,
think that's become more of a conversation. But in the past, I think it was expected that people would move into romantic relationships and leave many of their friendships behind. So I think it's like super important to like emphasize those friendships and those non-romantic relationships as well.
yep,
We had an
totally agree.
episode about. So
My next one is create the communities you want to see in the world. Most likely someone else is looking for the same thing.
yeah.
So if you create it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this came from the conversations that we were having, but also like um friend to the show, Ayana McMullen, who is here in the city of Richmond. She is a incubator creator, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a solo entrepreneur. So her whole idea was like a lot of us who have businesses, but it's just us. We don't have like teams. Like we don't get to
Yeah.
see people on a regular basis. So why not create space where we can come together and like connect on the entrepreneurial journey, but also um, find ways to collaborate potentially and even work to like mitigate issues that we may see within our own businesses that someone with different eyes in a different industry could be like, oh, well, maybe you should try X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I think that work
um,
is super important.
yeah,
The work that she's doing is super important. But like you said, yeah, just creating those communities that you want to see. Definitely have I've done that a few times. And I want to, like I said, in the spirit of starting over again, just start to create those opportunities and building the family structures I've talked about here, being raised by the village, but building those family structures, even amongst my friends. So I think that's super
yeah,
important for me.
totally agree. The last one I have, because I didn't go through all of our videos, I just kind
That's
of
fine.
jotted down the things from memory. Um, Wellness is a key component of a healthy functioning society. And that came
Yeah.
from the conversation where we were talking about collective wholeness within the society. I want to say that's what it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
Just having the understanding that me personally believing that everyone should go and do whatever the emotional work is required so that they could live their best lives, and having that piece of society be existed and free for everybody, because I
Mm-hmm.
think right now, like we speak from a place of privilege because we were able to go into therapy and afford to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Even though in every major city there is the community board that offers counseling services to the public, sometimes those services are just like a factory, it's a mill.
Right.
But it's not to say that you should not go and seek them out if that's what
Listen, if
your
that's where
means are.
your entry point is and your means
Yeah.
are, please do. Yeah.
But definitely, like, if everyone is able to go and do their emotional work to work on themselves and feel their best self, our societies as a whole will be much better. So that was my
Yeah.
takeaway.
I think my biggest and this I guess will be my last sort of point is um your community doesn't always have to be, your friends. You could have paid members of your community, your therapist, your housekeeper, or whatever else you may pay for, or whatever else that makes your life easier or more relaxing or more calm. Your masseuse, you were saying earlier, you need a massage. If that's a part of something that is something that you need to ensure your health and well-being, like that can certainly be a part of your community. I think we have
Mm-hmm.
to broaden our horizons and redefine really what it is that we think is our community. Of course, friendship's important. Of course, whatever is important to you is what's important for your community. So I think that's super important. And I'm actually reading a book right now called Drop the Ball. And it's really about I think the subtitle is like do getting more by doing less or something like that. And this
Mm-hmm.
is really like a woman's journey into like doing less at home and how she has been able to engage other people to like pick up the mantle for her and really be a part of her community, be that friends, be that um other moms in her community. Obviously, neither one of us have children, but other moms in her community that have been able to help her, people she's been able to pay to help her, different people who have all become a part of her community. So I think it's like what you need that can all be a part of your community, whether it's paid, whether it's free, whether it's your friends, whether it's a service. It's
Mm-hmm.
all a part of it,
And
of the
don't be
wholeness of
afraid.
you.
Don't
Yeah.
be afraid to create it. Like, I
Yeah.
think
Exactly.
sometimes we get so bogged down with like the minutia of like day-to-day living and having to do so many things that
Mm,
we don't equate for um how we can alleviate those things because we just don't have the mental capacity for it.
exactly.
So if it's within your abilities, create the environments and the communities that you need.
100%.
That's
100%.
like the biggest takeaway. So y'all drop down in the comments, let us know what your takeaways were, what your thoughts are around creating community and finding community, or any of the topics that we kind of have chatted through over the last month and a half.
Mm,
And we will see you in our next conversation. Bye, friends.
bye.